Hello, hello. Welcome to Filmi Ladies. We are Pitu and Beth, and today we're going to talk about someone that both of us really, really adore. Special mention and thank you to our subscriber Swikar because he's the one who came up with this brilliant idea. He wrote in the comments that he loves how Beth and I keep standing Aruna Irani, and he was like, "Why don't you do an episode on her?" And I was like, "Why don't we do an episode on her? This is brilliant." So, what to say about Aruna Rani? She has starred in a shitload of movies. Wikipedia tells me more than 500. She's done Hindi, Gujarati, and Marathi films. We all know her. We all love her. I think she's amazing when she's good, and I think she's wickedly delicious when she's bad. I definitely prefer bad Aruna Rani over good. Um, Brilliant dancer, really underrated for her acting chops. I think people always think of her as like a vamp, but she really has given us some amazing, unforgettable performances. And one thing I find really fun and cool is that, there's this like holy trifecta of vamps, which is Helen, Bindu, and Aruna Irani. And funnily, Bindu and Aruna Irani are first cousins. So the vampishness is clearly runs in their family, which I love. So the movies that we watched today, I rewatched Karva, which is one of my favorite films. It's a 1971 movie by none other than Nasir Hussain. So of course it's fun. It is headlined by Asha Parekh, and then Jitendra and Aruna Irani completes the love triangle in it. Aruna plays a knife thrower, which is such a great, wonderful profession to have. And I made Beth watch Beta because I discovered that she had never seen Beta. And I felt like she had to for her continued appreciation of Aruna. And Beta is a 1992 film, I think, by Inder Kumar, who is Aruna Irani's actual brother. And it stars Madhuri and Aruna. I choose not to mention Anil Kapoor because he doesn't matter. Who cares? Anyway, so let's get started with this episode. Beth, do you hate me for making you watch Beta?
Those of you who follow me on Twitter will see I was like, Pitu is making me watch Beta. And our friend Get Filmi said, Bethy, I think she really did you wrong here. And I was looking up his filmography, and I've only seen Ishq, I think, of all his other films. And
Of Inder Kumar's, okay.
And then Get Filmi said, yeah, I don't really imagine a universe in which you like these movies very much. And I mostly remember the songs from Ishq. I don't really remember the film itself very well.
I don't either. I didn't even know Ishq was an Inder Kumar movie, actually.
So I will watch Dil at some point. Like, obviously that's going to be, so there's a couple I feel I should watch. Most of the sort of later, more loud comedies I will probably pass on, but I needed to see at least one more of his films. So
yeah. So what did you think of Aruna's wickedly devilish mother-in-law?
So I actually think that you oversold it a little bit.
Oh,
I thought she was going to be more outrageously awful than she was. So I was picturing like Amrish Puri, but a woman. And it's not that.
No.
Right. She is, the mother-in-law who wants the property. She does things, but they're mostly off screen or something. So like she and her horrible brother, played by Anupam Kher in Fake Buck Teeth, like, who needs that? Somehow managed to like drug her husband and then like keep him basically locked up and feeding him really cruddy food and things like that. And mostly it's about getting the property. And she has her own son, her own biological son, who is awful. But her main gist is, of course, that she tricks poor young Anil Kapoor before he's played by Anil Kapoor to, kind of worship at her feet. And then she manipulates him into not going to college, to staying uneducated, to being a farmer. This is like in South Park, there's that funny thing about like, under plants plus question mark equals profits. I feel like this is sort of the same thing where it's like plot plus mystery ingredient equals money at the end somehow. I don't know. But I expected her to be much more like maliciously cackling and cacklingly malicious than she really was. And spoiler alert, she has a change of heart at the end, which was, I also kind of didn't expect. I thought maybe she would get thrown to the crocodiles or something like that. So yeah,
I was expecting... This is not a Rakesh Roshan movie though.
too bad for me. I really was expecting something much more kind of delicious, Mr. Burns, you know, kind of thing. Like she's
Right.
bad, but also, this is a there was something about the way they had costumed her and done her wig that she was very frumpy looking to me. And
Yeah.
I know that she's older here than she is in most of the films I've seen her in, obviously. But like Aruna Irani's a babe, and how very
Yeah.
dare you make her into a frump? Because I think also the bad girl, the bad woman thing would be played up if she was a little more glamorous or something. So I just felt like I didn't quite understand some of the choices that were going on here. Now, it must be said, there's a big caveat here, which is this is smack dab in the middle of the era of Hindi films I just don't tend to like at all,
Right.
and will never
Yeah.
watch unless someone has pointed me to a very specific thing. So, like, aesthetically, this is not my thing. And I mean that musically, I mean that sort of acting wise, I mean it costume wise, like set design, like this does not offer for me the enjoyments that I get in other eras, even if I don't really like the plot or whatever. So,
Right.
but she, you know, obviously this was a big hit for her. I think Wikipedia says this was the top earner of the year.
Yeah,
Wow.
and she won a Filmfare Award for supporting
Mm-hmm.
actor for it.
Mm-hmm. Also, I don't know what is supporting about this. I think she could have gotten best, you know, best actress. I don't know why they, you know, it was like we were talking about the other day with best supporting for
Yeah. I forget
uh
which movie it was, but oh, Hare Rama Hare Krishna, where
oh right,
Zeenat
for
won Best
Zeenat
Supporting
Aman.
Actor, and I
Yeah.
was like, wait, but then who's supporting actor? Like,
Right.
wait, that was
Main
confusing.
actress,
Yeah,
yeah, lead. So yeah, but so I'm glad to have seen it. And I, like you, I don't really, I mean, Anil Kapoor is someone I enjoy, but like this could have been anyone in my opinion.
right.
But Madhuri, I thought was also quite enjoyable. So, you know, for the
Yeah.
two women, it was fun. And I liked, you know, this is rough. This also falls into the era of, let's show a woman being sexually assaulted so then we can show her taking revenge kind
Right.
of thing, which I don't
Mm-hmm.
care for. And that basically happens in this film. And so it's a rough start, but once it
Yeah.
gets going, it's definitely more enjoyable. But the intro part where Anil Kapoor's character is still a child, I was like, just send this kid to therapy. My God, like, you know, it is a really rough start for me. But once it got going, I was kind of more
Yeah.
into it. It was a bit of a slog there for the first half hour, but you know,
Yeah.
I do love Aruna Irani. I'm very glad to see her. I know I mean, her career is fabulous. She's a person that always equals. This movie just got better, you
Yes.
know, when she shows up. So, and that was true for Beta as well. Like when she shows up, and it's quite an
Yeah.
entrance, I should say. I don't know. I don't want to spoil it too
Yeah.
much for those who haven't seen it, but I know I gave away the end of the movie, but visually, I won't spoil the
Right.
spoil it. But yeah, so if you are like me and somehow have not seen this movie, but you like Aruna Irani, I think it's well worth a watch. Maybe you want to fast forward some. I did fast
Yeah.
forward a little bit towards the end, but
Yeah. I also think it's like an important movie to watch if you like Aruna Rani, because I feel like it's one of the few movies that she's done where she's like older and she's not like the vamp. She's
no,
just the villain.
right.
And so it's one of the few roles I think she got to do where she could really sink her teeth into it. Because apart
Mm,
from Beta, I think every other Aruna Irani movie that I've seen where she has like a substantial role is just her being a vamp, which
hmm.
after a point, a lot of those roles just sort of start blending
Oh
together,
yeah, yeah. I mean,
you
her song,
know?
and she's great in songs. There's a
Yeah.
reason she has this massive career in it, but it is kind of hard to keep them straight for me.
Yeah, like in so many of those vamp roles, she really doesn't even have a character. You don't even know what her name is. And some of them, she doesn't
Right.
have a name. She just has the dance that she does.
Yeah.
So I do like Beta because it's like one of the few opportunities where you get to see her really play like a role that maybe would have been played by an actress who used to be like a
Nadira.
heroine. Yeah. So you really get her like an opportunity to sink her teeth into it. And so I really like her in it. So the movie I saw is Karma. Have you seen it?
I have, but it's been a while.
I love Karma. It's such a fun, like it's just a fun, enjoyable riot of a movie. If I had to sell Karma to anyone, I would just be like, woman in trouble, damsel in distress, runs away and basically joins the traveling circus. What could be better?
It is one
There's
of the films where So Jitendra for me is my reaction to him is often, but
Same.
but I do actually enjoy him. So my gut reaction is not actually accurate to my experience for whatever reason. And I
Mm.
think I'm just like pre-borrowing trouble from the slog of 80s stuff that he's in that are,
Yeah,
famously not very good. Um, but in the 60s and 70s, he's very enjoyable to me. So I don't know
he
why
is.
I, kind of roll my eyes when I hear he's in a film, but he's very fun in this movie too, if I recall.
Yeah, I think Jitendra is one of those actors like Devanand, where the era matters. The
Mhm.
younger he is in the films, the more enjoyable those
Yes.
movies are, and the more enjoyable he is. And the
Yes.
later you go, all the South remakes he did, where it's like Jitendra, Sridevi, Jayaprada, and some triangle of that sort, they're all terrible. Um, but it's also like I remember people always talk about how Jitendra was a good dancer. And I was always like, what? What are you talking about? Like, obviously, he's not bad like the Deols are. Deols are just horrific dancers. But I don't necessarily think of Jitu as like a good dancer. But after rewatching Karma, I kind of realized I kind of get where the good dancer thing is coming from. I think it's because he's so cheery and cute and he dances with abandon.
Enthusiasm carries the
Yeah.
men quite a bit further than is maybe when you
Yeah.
start to pick it apart, as we've discussed with Shami Kapoor, right? Like
Yeah.
he's doing stuff.
Yeah.
He's not
But like
standing behind a tree.
no, he's like rhythmic and he
Yeah.
clearly looks like he's enjoying himself.
Yes.
But it's so funny because like in Karma, he literally, okay, he is cast with these two extremely talented women. He has Asha Parekh on the one hand and he has Aruna Irani on the one
Yeah.
hand. Like, what a sandwich. And
Yeah.
Asha Parekh, phenomenal dancer.
Yeah.
um Aruna Irani, amazing dancer, and you're like, okay, how is he going to hold his own? And weirdly enough, I didn't mind his dancing. I was like, okay, I can see it. I can see why these two women are attracted to you. So I did not expect that to happen, but I enjoyed it, and it was just such a treat to watch. Aruna Irani is such a I don't even know what to call her. She is like a wildcat in this movie. She has no sense whatsoever, no common sense. She's completely bonkers. She's always losing her temper with people. She literally throws knives at people when she's
Yeah.
mad at them. She threatens to scratch their eyes out. I was like, wow, very charming. But she's so cute, so darling in it. I love that she's never like. Asha Parekh did this thing where in so many of her movies, she's the sort of like damsel in distress and it just gets old really quickly.
Mm.
And Aruna Irani in this movie is just so sort of badass. Also, this movie has Helen in it. So it's like watch Karma for the women and watch it for the music. And it's like if you enjoy anything else like Jitendra, Junior, Mahmood, or their truck, you'll have fun. But that's really not why you're watching it. Also, I kept sending screenshots to Beth of their truck because they drive. Jitendra drives a truck called the Tufan Mail, and it has these amazing hand drawn like posters of Aruna Irani and Manorama on it, and they're like gigantic, like huge ones. And on the back of the truck, there's like a big picture of Aruna Irani just like smoldering, and there's a skull next to it. And Asha Parekh is climbing the little ladder up to the top. And I sent Beth a picture, and I was like, "Should I paint the back of my Subaru like this?" And Beth was like, "Obviously." So that was a very fun movie. So of the Vamps, I know we all love Saint Helen, but
Hmm.
what do you think made Aruna like special? Because all the Vamps had their own kind of thing that they did.
It's interesting that so when you were describing her role in that film and said she was kind of like a cat, uh,
Yeah.
it, if there is a subcategory of vamp called Jungly Billy,
Yeah.
I feel that she probably is that
I
because
agree.
she's it's this really interesting combination of she's sexy,
Yes.
she's also cute,
Yeah.
and she's also you in the ones I've seen where they've established anything about her, she's usually like a gypsy, a traveler of some kind. A, she's like part of a tribal group of some kind. She's not college educated. She's
Right.
maybe has an adoptive dad who's like gonna marry her, try to marry her off, but like she's like a bit of a spitfire. And I'm sorry I'm using that word because I feel like that's one of those things that kind of dominionizes, it makes women smaller, but there's something kind of like It's feisty.
Yeah.
And I mean, even beyond just being cast as the vamp, she never has a shot at the hero. You know it.
Yeah.
And like there's something kind of different going, like, and she doesn't not have a chance because she's bad. She doesn't have a chance because she's not the right class or something,
Right.
whereas I don't feel like you get that as often with someone like Helen or Bindu. They are more likely, I think, to just be like performers.
Right.
So that's kind of slightly different. So there's something kind of like youthful and maybe girlish in a way about her, but like she's still sexy, and not in a like too sexy way. It's not like they're making her sexy beyond her years or anything. But yeah, I just kept thinking like Jungly Billy.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite films that I've seen her in is this otherwise not particularly memorable kind of docu film with Shashi Kapoor and Sunil Dutt called Ganga or Suraj. And
Mhm.
in the movie, she's in love with Shashi Kapoor, and she even says something like, "What a man! He looks just like Shashi Kapoor." It's like one of these little meta moments, and you're like, "Yes, girl, yes," because she knows what she wants. We know she's not going to get it. She eventually figures it out, but like she kind of has fun anyway. And you're not going to push her around too much. I also
Yeah.
feel like in the films I've seen her in, she is less likely to take a bullet. And maybe that's just the things I've seen her in. So I feel like she kind of gets to maybe escape some of the fates that vamps more often get. And again, I've seen a lot of her films, but it maybe is not even 10% of her body of work, given how many
Yeah.
films she's in. And I've seen none of her television. I know she does television too. So for me, that's kind of what I associate with her. Also, I have mostly seen the 70s and early 80s films, so that's
Right.
going to shape it too. And I can
Yeah.
see how Jungly Billy would graduate to evil stepmother. That's a
Yeah.
progression of roles I can see. And I wonder if she got a lot more of those after Beta. I didn't actually look,
Right.
but you can see how she
I
might.
think I agree with a lot of things you said. In fact, when I was watching Karma, I was actually thinking of the phrase cat on a hot tin roof,
Yeah.
which is pretty much similar to like Jungly Billy. Um, and I think what to me stands out about Aruna Irani, like all the points you made, but also there's like a certain innocence about her
Yeah.
or a certain naivete.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
Mm-hmm.
Bindu, you just get the impression that she's in the know.
Oh
Like she was
yeah.
born in the know, and you're not going to be able to like, snow her. And she has a far higher shot of snowing you. So you better watch out
And
for her.
Helen is also in the know right now.
Yeah.
She might get double crossed from time to time, as in Dawn, but
Yes.
Helen and Bindu are they've got your number.
Yeah, Helen is also double crossed in Karma, where
Mm,
Asha Parekh's husband she is his mistress, and initially she's one of the bad guys because she, along with the Asha Parekh's husband, is trying to sort of plot Asha's demise so that they can be together, or whatever. But then she overhears a conversation where he says to one of his hench dudes or whatever that there's no way I would marry like Helen, like she's a means to an end or whatever. And then she's very
mhm.
upset about it. And then, then she kind of like sort of supports Asha in it. So yes, Helen is also like Bindu in the know, but occasionally she does get double crossed. But I feel like with Aruna Irani, you almost feel a little protective of her
Yeah,
characters
I agree.
because you're just like, girl, slow down, you're gonna get hurt real bad. Like that person is a bad person, like stay away, stay away.
Yeah.
So there's just that like youthful naivete. I think one of the few films I've seen of hers where she is younger, like not like Beta, but where she's a lot younger, but she's a lot more jaded and cynical, a
Mm.
la Bindu, is actually Bobby.
Oh yes,
So
of course.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I love her role in Bobby. She
Yes.
is Rishi Kapoor's dad's mistress, and I love how gleeful and giddy she is in the Fasa song. And at the end, she's actually the one that encourages Rishi Kapoor to run away because he
Mhm.
is so shocked that his dad would, forcibly get him engaged to Farida Jalal. And she's basically the one who's like, I'm your dad's mistress, and I know what a terrible person he is. How is this a shock to you? And she's like, if you want to be with this girl, this Bobby person, you need to run away because, like, you're not. So it's like, it's such an interesting gray character. It's a tiny, tiny role, but she
Mhm.
makes such an impact because
She does.
in some ways it's sad, but she's the only kind of parental figure, which is a weird thing to say because she's probably the same age as Rishi Kapoor's character, but she's the only person who gives him some kind of parental advice and warns him about the dangers he's in and the people he is surrounded with, which is something his own parents don't do. So it's so weird. It's like she's your dad's mistress, but she's also your age, but she's also the only one looking out for you. Very few people could have done that role
Yeah.
the way Aruna did it.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised because she typically does not play these very like cynical or jaded people.
I'm just looking through her filmography and it really is
Gigantic.
phenomenal. Yeah. She's in Shalimar, where she is the dance teacher with the 1, 2, cha cha cha. With, I mean, Aruna Irani plus Usha Uthup, like best song ever. Like, I love that pairing. More Usha, please. Like, she's
Usha's
one of
so
my very
darling.
favorite singers. Man, I love her.
I
But
love her.
just this I'm just kind of flipping through, and she doesn't always have a name according to IMDb, but she does sometimes have a name, like so many of the other women in these kind of similar roles. But yeah, she also has a few of the kind of schlockier horror films under her belt. She's done at least one Ramsey Brothers, I'm pretty sure. So like she does also not just Hindi as well. Doesn't she do Gujarati film, I think?
Yeah, Gujarati and Marathi films. I haven't
Nice.
seen any of her non-Hindi films though.
And yes, she's just got an amazing career. I hope she writes a book. It would be great.
Yes, that would be amazing.
So
She's also so connected to so many people in Bollywood too, like with
Yeah.
Indra Kumar and with Bindu. I mean, imagine her and Bindu like getting together and chatting. That would be so much fun.
There must be a song where they play courtesans dancing together, right?
There should be.
I hope there is. But yeah, it's just it's a stunning career, and you could do far, far worse than following films to watch her in them. I mean, obviously with YouTube, you don't have to watch the whole film, but I think it would still be pretty fun to track through her filmography. And I would be interested to know, and I should have Googled and I did not, what are some of her favorites of her roles and performances, because like when we talked about Kurbani, she's there, right? So she doesn't just play dancing, young dancing troublemakers or whatever.
Shakti Kapoor's sister in Kurbani, right?
Yes.
Yeah, which okay.
Which is kind of a presaging of Beta in a way. Like it's a pretty similar role, actually, but she's kind of, I think she often goes by, does she go by Princess in that movie? Do I remember?
Yes.
She's like wearing leopard and purple spandex or whatever. So, it's a great career. And I just, I've seen her so often and I'm just always so happy to see her. And yet I don't feel like I have a ton of intelligent things to say about her. And it would be, I don't know, is she on Instagram? I bet she'd be great if she was.
I don't think she's on Instagram. One person that has joined Instagram, possibly because of Zeenat Aman's popularity, is Saira Banu.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Mumtaz.
Oh, well, I love Mumtaz's Instagram. That is probably my most favorite, like, celebrity Instagram, like even more than Zeenat Aman, because Mumtaz's Instagram is just like cray cray. It's so awesome. But Sarabana's Instagram is really cute too. She like clearly loves Dilip Kumar so much and is still like mourning him because every single post of hers is about Dilip Kumar and some story of his, and it's really sweet and cute. But I'm like, okay, but like we also want to learn about you. But yeah, she's so darling. This whole trend of like these yesteryears people coming and like starting Instagram accounts, really I'm here for it. And it's great because they're not PR driven. Like literally, it's like videos of like the latest video I saw on Mumtaz's Instagram was of her feeding the koi fish in her pond in Uganda. I was like, cool, I'm here for that. I will watch you feed your koi fish. I would watch Mumtaz do anything.
Yeah.
Like anything. So it's so fun and refreshing. It's very like stars, they're just like us. It's one of those. Whereas you look at all of the like Bollywood stars right now, and their Instagrams are so snoozeworthy because it's all PR. And it's like their teams or whatever posting some like heavily photoshopped image and some like goody caption. And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah. Some free stuff that they got. Like, yeah, I'm not interested.
Yeah. or some awful product that they're like schlocking, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to buy this stupid product. All the yesteryears people need to like start their own Instagram, and that would be great. So what kind of, or apart from like say Bobby or whatever, what other Aruna Irani roles do you like?
I was kind of thinking about that, and Karwan is definitely one of them. I would say that Ganga or Swaraj is one that always stands out to me, and that is not a film that I feel most people have
I have
seen
not
for
even heard
whatever
of it.
reason. Yeah, I
No.
mean, I've only seen it because of my, attempt to be a Shashi Kapoor completist, which is still a project in the works because he did a lot of films and some of them I can't find. But um she's in, I'm just trying to remember. She just shows up and she dances and she's so great, and she maybe gets in a couple good like zippy little jokes or
Singers.
yeah, or someone says something to her and she kind of like sticks her tongue out
Yeah.
at them and sasses them back or whatever. But yeah, and I do really need to broaden into some of her later roles. She's in Noggin, for example, which is obviously a
Yeah.
film we need to talk about because we keep finding people who are in
Yes.
Noggin and talking about them. But, so in a film that's already jam-packed with all these amazing women, they put her in her own song.
Right.
This, you know what the song needs? It still needs Aruna Irani. If I recall, she's in Fakira with Shashi Kapoor. That's a good one. So I mean, she's
Have
just
you
in
have you
everything.
seen any Aruna Irani movie where she actually gets the hero?
No, no, I have not.
Mm.
And
Oh, that is
there
sad.
must be a few, right? Or maybe she gets Hero's friend or something, but I have not seen that.
Yeah, because like Karma, for instance, is one of the films where it would actually be kind of believable for her to get the
Hmm.
hero, which is Jitendra,
Hmm.
because it's the points you made about like she definitely plays someone who's like from one of the like she's always like someone lower middle class, and
Yes.
she's always someone who's kind of belonging to the have nots, and she's
Yes.
always
Yes.
uneducated and things like that, so like she just doesn't have a lot of like upward mobility. And so
Yeah.
if she were say in a movie where yes she's cast opposite Shashi Kapoor or whatever, the chances of her being able to land him are like really low. But in Karma, for instance, Jitendra actually is a truck driver, and Asha Parekh is the one who is the heiress of this like very wealthy like company or whatever. So he's the one who's uneducated, and he's the one who actually kind of like he subcontracts out where he transports this traveling dancer gypsy people around, when they're doing their shows or whatever. So he's kind of, you could say, kind of like her coworker,
Hmm.
and in the same social band. And he prides himself on the fact that he has learned some English, which is very funny because it's very endearing when he like tries to speak in English and is all wrong, and Junior Mahmood has to keep like correcting him. Like he gets into a fight with someone and he says, "I am very uneducated," and Junior Mahmood just coughs and says, "You mean you're educated?" He's like, "Yes, I am very educated." But like it's sad that even in that movie she can't get him, and I'm like, but
Yeah.
why not? And he keeps trying to palm her off to like his like someone else in their troupe whose name is Bola. And he's always, so it's really funny. He tells Bola that Bola should go by the lake or whatever to meet Aruna because she's like so pretty and she'll appreciate him visiting, whatever. Poor Bola, like his name, which means innocent, he goes along and you're like,
Bola.
oh no, Bola, do not. Because Jitendra has told Aruna that, because okay, so Aruna says to Jitendra, when you gonna come like have like a romantic rendezvous with me? She's like batting her eyelashes at him. And he's like, oh, maybe today by the lake in the evening. And so she's like, okay. And she's gonna meet him there. And meanwhile, Jitendra sends Bola because Bola has a crush on her. And he's like, Bola, why don't you go instead? She'll be so happy to see you. You're like, oh no, Bola, don't go. And then Bola goes. And then he comes back and she has Bola's clothes in her hand and she has like a little dagger. And everyone's like, oh my God, what happened? And she basically like beat up Bola and took his clothes and ran away.
Which is a nice twist because it's usually someone taking the heroine's
Yes.
clothes away. So I like that.
I think I sent you a screenshot where she was like, I have a sword and I'm not afraid to, I have a dagger and I'm not afraid
Yeah.
to use it. This
Yeah.
was right after you told me that you were pleased that Madhuri was using a sickle to like threaten all the men. And I was like, yes. And in the movie I'm watching, there's a dagger. So here we go. Supporters of violence, clearly.
She is one of the the patron saints of the unrequited love, right? And that I
Yes.
very much enjoy that. Like that's a, you know, like I feel that. And she and there's probably some others too, like some of the sort of comedy uncles are gonna fall into that role. I feel like
Yeah.
as Hero's friend or whatever. Um, but I feel like sometimes they kind of play that for laughs about her, like, oh, it's funny that she thinks she might get the hero, and you're like, oh man,
Yeah.
that's mean. But other
Yeah.
times she seems to be kind of in on it a little bit,
Right.
uh or she's just so excited that she's got a crush that it almost doesn't matter, right? Like I think there's something kind of fun about that. So she has, in that way, she has a little bit of the everyday,
Yeah.
oh, that's I map to that a little bit, about her, which is fun.
Yeah. I think that's also what makes her very relatable. Like, I
Yes.
love all the vamps. I love Helen, I love Bindu, and I love Aruna Irani. But I think of the three, Aruna is the one that is the most
Oh
relatable
yeah.
to us women because
Yeah.
Helen is just too glamorous.
Way too
Helen has
glamorous.
more glamour in her entire body than I have, I mean, in her pinky finger than I have in my whole body. So I could never aspire to be
No,
Helen.
no,
Like, I don't even want to aspire to be Helen because she's completely out of my reach.
that's
So
right.
there's just something about Helen that is just, that's why I call her Saint Helen. So
Yes.
it's like, it's not, she's beyond us.
Yes.
But and then Bindu, I find it very hard to relate to, even though I do enjoy her very, very much because I'm far stupider than she is. Like, she's a lot shrewder, and so I'm kind of like, okay, but like I'm not as jaded and cynical as you, so I can't aspire to be you either. But I very much enjoy it, and I want to be friends with her
And
because
she's
she can tell me.
bold, right? She
She's
is
very bold.
bold in a way that most of us cannot ever
Yeah.
dream of
I mean,
being.
her song from Kati Patang, the नाम है मेरा शबनम प्यार से लोग मुझे शब्बो कहते हैं. Good Lord, I salute her. Just
Absolutely.
just the meanness and the maliciousness that drips from her in that song and the wickedness. Oh, delightful. But with Aruna, it's always like, it's even when she's being wicked, it feels like, okay, I feel like I can manage that level of wicked.
Yeah, there's a sense of play about her that is really fun. And I don't think I would have come to that if you had not said, kind of the, like, you kind of want to protect her a little bit. And
Yeah.
yeah, there's something just very fun about, and I mean, Helen is also fun, but it's a
Yeah.
different way. Like, yeah,
It's a
yeah,
sophisticated fun with Helen,
yeah, something more
and a
like that.
little bit
Yeah.
more like cat and mouse, maybe. Whereas with
Hmm.
Aruna, there's no cat and mouse. It's just straight
Yeah.
up daggers and knife throwing. Um,
But also
what was
she's
it?
not threatening most of the time.
No,
At
no.
least in these kind of item songs, she's not like a threateningly sexy presence in a way that Bindu for sure is, and Helen sometimes is.
Yeah. It was actually reminding me of, do you remember when we did that episode on female characters that we have a soft spot for?
Hmm.
And you mentioned the character, I forgot her name, but it's the girl in Dil Chahta Hai who has a crush on Akash. And she's
Yeah.
always like, hi, Akash. It kind of
Yeah.
like reminded me a little bit like
Deepa.
that's Deepa. Like that's something that Aruna tends to do.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
like if that had been made at a time when she was a college age, like that would have been a very good fit for her. Yeah, excellent. I
Yeah.
totally agree.
And
Yeah.
then dance wise, of course, like all the vamps had to be like spectacular dancing. But it's interesting to me how, again, they each like carved out their own niche, where
Hmm.
Helen's dancing was like super polished, had a lot of Western elements to it. So many of her songs have like almost like, I hesitate to say this, but it's a little bit like Spanish, like flamenco kind of
Yeah, she does do
vibes.
that sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like with Pia Tu Ab To Aaja, and then she has like a fair bit of belly dancing in there,
Uh-huh.
like in Mehbooba Mehbooba. And then with Bindu, I'm not quite sure what her dance style is, but it's some sort of fusion-y thing and like maybe a little bit of disco happening.
Mm.
But with Aruna Irani, it feels like it's very Indian.
Yes, I would. Yeah,
It's
that
very like,
resonates.
it's very Indian. It's all the thumkas and the jhumkas. It's also how she's always dressed because she's
Yeah.
always dressed in those like ghagra choli type of things.
Yes.
But when I was watching, like, I mean, she's spectacular in all of her songs that she has in Karma. It's actually kind of sad that Asha Parekh, despite being such a phenomenal dancer, does not have good dance numbers in Karma.
Hmm.
She has Goria Kahan Tera Des Hai, which is okay. There's not much dancing in that song. And then she has the one song that they do on stage, Kahan Fas Gayi or whatever, that doesn't have much going on. Aruna really has the bulk of the great choreography. And there's one song in particular, it's Dil Bar Dil Se Pyare, such a good song. I love that song so much. It's like it's around the bonfire at night in the gypsy camp, and she's basically trying to seduce Jitendra. And it's almost like her opening scene, kind of, because like just moments before that song, she's being introduced to us. And you can tell that she really has the hots for Jitendra. And he's kind of trying to avoid her and sneak away because she always comes on too strong. And he's like a little bit intimidated by her. And she calls him Garam Masala, which just made me laugh. Because if there's anyone who's Garam Masala, it's her, not Jitendra.
I was going to say, it is not. I'm trying to think what hero I would call that. And it is not him.
Vinod Khanna.
That's who I was going to say. Yeah.
Vinod Khanna would be Garam Masala. Jitendra would be, I don't know, elaichi or something. Like he'd be cardamom. I don't think he would be something particularly hot and spicy.
More like the Raita, right? Like he's like a cooling element.
Oh no!
But you need to have it. You want to have it.
Yes.
It's just the tempering out. No, that's not
So,
right. Did I say that because he wears white shoes and so therefore he's like yogurt colored? I don't know if that's why I thought
possibly. So she's the biryani and he's the raita. Very good.
Do we need to do an episode where we track foods to movie stars?
We should do this. I'm all up for it. I will make sure I've eaten like a heavy lunch before we do that, though.
Right.
But okay, I almost went off track, but I just wanted to say, watch Dil Bar Dil Se Pyare, listeners, viewers, if you have not, because her body, okay, first of all, her body in this movie is like spectacular. The hourglass figure and the curves. I mean, she's just all woman and she's not afraid to flaunt it in her skimpy outfits, and she's beautiful. But in this song, her movements, her choreography, she's perfection. She's so also very like active and acrobatic almost, because she's like jumping on a hay cart, she's jumping over here, she's leaping there. The extras can barely manage to keep up with her. She is so fluid and so good. And I never thought the day would come that I would quote Shilpa Shetty, a person that I absolutely cannot stand on screen. I know you're like,
where is this going?
Someone once interviewed Shilpa Shetty and they said, I think it was like a Hollywood reporter person who was in India. Maybe it was David Letterman. I don't know. Someone asked her like, what is the most important ingredient of like Bollywood dancing? And she said, you have to have lachak, by which she means flexibility. She said that is the number one thing. And while I was watching this, I was like, yo, Aruna Irani has so much of lachak. Tells you how much I know about dance.
You know what, you saw what you saw, and that's how you describe it. Like, I really wonder about her if she is extremely pleasant to work with, and that is part of her immense career. Because she must be, right. I will say, I don't seek out interviews, but whenever, I mean, she just seems like a very smiley kind of person. Because once you sort of transition from the dance heavy to the auntie, nurse, whatever, right? Those are a lot easier. You have more to choose from to cast those, because I think all the women, honestly, that we've ever talked about on this podcast, whether they have been the feature of an episode or just in passing, all of them can do that.
Yes.
And so you don't need the dancer or the young love struck, whatever, right? You can do, you have, all these women can do those things. And yet she is one of the ones that has this absolutely massive career. Now, clearly she kept working after she got married. So that's part of it. But I just think that people must have liked to cast her for whatever reason, and she liked to work. So good. I'm glad that those things meshed.
Does come across as like super pleasant and nice. I've read one or two interviews of her in the past where she's basically spoken about how much like poverty they had at home. And she was like the oldest. And so she basically, I mean, so many heroines, it's the same story, whether it's starting with like Madhubala to Mumtaz, Bindu herself, Aruna Irani. A lot of these actresses did not become actresses because they wanted to. They became actresses because it was the only work they could get. And they could not turn down that paycheck because their work was what kept the bills being paid or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But what I find interesting is that she doesn't really sound bitter in her
Mm,
interview. She sounds like, I had a good life, I had a good career, and I'm enjoying it. And it's always nice when you hear that. It's always sad when you hear the opposite, where someone like Sarika, for example, has spoken about how much she
mm,
hated being a child star, has
mm-hmm.
spoken about how hard it was. Devi, by all accounts, had a horrific childhood,
Yeah.
and was also exploited by her family. Neeta Singh to some extent as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always sad when you hear those stories, but at least with Aruna, if she has a ton of regrets, it doesn't seem like she's at least voiced them. But I mean, I would love to read some kind of biography by her and Bindu, especially as the two sisters.
Right.
If we could talk about it, that would be amazing.
I think it would be really interesting for some of these women to interview each other, like you could get a little fly on the wall view of
Yeah,
it. Now, I don't know if they would ask the questions that we would ask, probably not, but
right.
it would be interesting to hear some of them talk. And I know that's why some of those roundtable shows are exciting to people and stuff. But like I remember Aruna Irani doing an interview with Raj and Pablo back when they were on the BBC on
Mm,
their Bollywood show that was really enjoyable. And she seemed just utterly tickled to be there, which was really nice. And this would have been, I mean, so she's approximately 70, I believe. So
yeah, 77.
okay, wow. And she's done 500 films.
I know.
And I don't even know if that counts episodes of television or if or what,
No,
maybe
I
the
think that's just like films.
films. I mean, I really salute that. I mean, I hope that she is working because she loves it. Um,
Yeah.
it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. What a career.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you that my aunt bought an apartment in Mumbai from Bindu's husband, who
Ah,
is one of the Lakshmikant Pyarelal, because Lakshmikant
oh,
Pyarelal were
okay.
brothers.
Uh-huh.
One of them, I can't remember if it's Lakshmikant or if it was Pyarelal.
Huh.
One of them is actually Bindu's husband.
I
And
didn't know that.
so, yeah, so when they were doing like the business dealings or whatever, they would basically deal with Bindu. My aunt and uncle would. They wouldn't deal with her husband, who was part of the music director duo. And I was so excited. I was here in America. Otherwise, if I lived in Mumbai, I would totally have like tagged along to all of those things. And my aunt just mentioned it in this very like chill way. She was so nonchalant about it. She was like, "Oh yeah, today Bindu, whatever her last name is, Pyare Lal or whatever. I have to meet her with the lawyers for like the deal." And I was like, "Which Bindu?" And she was like, "The Bindu." And I was like, "What does she look like? What was she wearing?" And my aunt was like, "She wore a normal salwar kameez. She's kind of boring." And my aunt was laughing at me because she was like, "What? Did you think she was going to show up in like a sequined, like cabaret outfit, like come
Yes.
dancing into the room?" I know.
Yes.
I was so disappointed. They just met at like an attorney's office in Mumbai, and she was just wearing this like salwar kameez, and she had like glasses on, and my auntie and my uncle just like signed the thing. It was very disappointing, Beth. I wish I could have gone there.
Wikipedia says her husband's name is not either the people that you've just named, just FYI. So I don't know if
Oh,
Wikipedia is wrong or something's gotten jumbled here, but her husband, according to them, is Champaklal Zaveri. Is that a
Bindus or
Bindu's?
I'm not sure. I will have to Google then. But I'm pretty sure unless it's her second husband or something. I will have to do my
Anyway,
research into the Bindu.
the Bindu
Um,
stands as is.
I mean, we love our vamps, so
We do.
okay. Did you wanna add? Okay, what was your favorite Aruna Irani moment from Beta?
Oh, from Beta? Um,
Yes.
I'm going to say two things.
Okay.
One, I think the way she portrays the sort of change of heart towards the end was
Hmm.
very effective. I thought she did that really well. And in a movie that's a sort of what like loud and shrieky as this movie is, I don't think she overdoes it or anything.
No,
Like I said, she's not like wow or
no,
anything.
she's not.
And so when like the mindset changes, like you do feel like okay, like it seemed kind of believable. But then
Yeah.
also her intro is just so cool because I knew she was going to be bad, but then the way they introduce her is so different. And I don't know, like, if when this movie was released, if you hadn't read anything about it, what would you have thought was happening when they introduce her?
Right.
and would you have been like, oh, or, so
Yeah.
I really, so the beginning and the end
Right.
moments, I would say, but she's pretty great in it. She really is. And
Yeah.
it's by far the biggest role I've ever seen her have. Well,
Right.
except for the one that you're talking about, but yeah,
Yeah.
pretty fantastic. So yeah, definitely it's a watch if you like Aruna Irani.
It definitely makes me wish that she'd done more movies, or rather she had been given more opportunities
Yeah.
to do movies like this, because she's just so fun in it. I just
Yeah.
like her so much, and it's so nice to be able to see her really sink her teeth into a role that seemed tailor-made for her. So I just wish she'd gotten more options, because Beta to me is such a standout if you love Aruna Irani, because you really remember it, as opposed to like the long litany of like dance numbers that she's done, which all start blending together.
Mhm.
So for that reason, if no other, I kind of wish she'd done more films like Beta. But I mean, you have to do the roles that you're gonna get. It's not like people are lining up to offer you roles after a certain age, especially if you've made your name as a dancer.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'm wondering if any of our listeners can recommend some, if there's things that
Yeah.
she's done that are longer films, because they're not all going to be A-list, biggest hit of the year. There's going to be some ones that probably sank without a trace. So if you have a favorite role of hers, or a favorite dance number that we haven't talked about, I would really love to know. And if we get enough songs, we could put together a little Aruna Irani playlist on YouTube. That would be really fun, because
Yeah, that
that
would
would
be
be a
fun.
mood enhancer for sure. For sure.
It absolutely would. Also, if you guys have seen any like video interviews of Aruna Rani or something, and if you want to put like the link in the comments, that would be really fun as well. Because I just kind of I'm very curious to see. I think some of the older TV shows, interview shows, they used to have like the one that Farida Jalal had, and then there was Gina Isi Ka Naam Hai that Farouk Sheikh used to host,
Oh yeah.
and then of course there was Rendezvous with Semi Garewal. I really like those shows because they felt much more democratic to me,
Mm.
meaning they would bring in a lot of different people. One thing I don't like about Bollywood journalism these days is that it just seems very like fixated on like A-listers or Nipa babies, and it's like they completely forget the supporting actors and stuff like that. So I don't like
Yeah.
that as much. But yeah, if you guys have access to any fun interviews that she's done, then let us know as well. And as always, we love suggestions. This episode certainly came about due to Swikar's suggestion. So if you have any, just let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you are not already a Jungli Billy, then definitely channel that energy. Until next episode. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Bye-bye.